Hello everybody, I'm Alfred, and the video we're about to watch is titled Top 10 WNBA Plays of All Time, and the Sports Center. This on the ESPN channel. Let's get into it.
2016, Game 1 of the WNBA Finals, sparks and links, game tied at 76. Elena Beard hitting the corner jumper at the buzzer, giving the Sparks the win. Please look at this again, so clutch. Beard had just 2 points before making the game winner. Okay. We got more from this series later.
All right, number 9 goes back to June of 20.
Now, first of all, let me just say something. Obviously, online there's a lot of back and forth about women's basketball, and the female NBA players, as in the WNBA players, they are taking things the wrong way, because of feminism, and they are like, they need to be played as much as the men. Of course, that is irrational. That's like saying that someone who runs a fast food or a coffee shop down the road that has no customers, expecting his employees to be paid the same thing that Starbucks is paying his employees, or the CEO of such a company expecting to get the same pay with the CEO of Starbucks. Is not going to happen. That's not how life works. The company cannot pay you money that they do not make, so the WNBA has to make money, and that is what it is. It's also a business, it's also marketing, and it's about filling the seats. It's not like, oh, men are paid this much, why are women not paid that much? No, these are two different companies. The WNBA has to bring in money. This common sense, but apparently the women in the WNBA don't get it, and the feminists who are all this equal pay and whatever, they don't get this simple logic. But that being said, that should not take away from female basketball as a whole. So female basketball as a whole should be supported, and we as men, we need to get behind women. By that, I'm not saying that we should let them take the lead, but I'm saying we should support them. Right now, Satan is creating a scenario where it is men versus women, and a lot of people are falling into it, and especially women and feminists. And of course, now there is now so many kind of response movements. So it's now like men versus women. There's a red pill, blue pill, black pill, all kinds of different pill communities that are now supporting men's rights, but a lot of them stand the risk of doing the same thing that feminism has turned into. Feminism has turned into all men are bad, and a lot of these red pill type movements have now turned into all women are this or all women are that. So we need to understand the trick that Satan is playing here, and step away from that, and there needs to be unity and understanding of roles. So that being said, when we watch this click top 10 WNBA plays, don't compare to the top 10 NBA plays. Don't compare performance in women's sports with men's sports when it has to do with a sport that is physical. Perhaps if it was chess, because when it comes to something that does not require physical strength or things that men are naturally endowed to excel over women in, perhaps women can perform outstandingly in those sports, but it is not like if a man cannot think also or think better than a woman. Of course, throughout history, men have been leading in that department. That's why majority of the inventions in this world are by men. Who invented the telephone? A man. Who invented the internet? Who came up with the idea of the internet? Who came up with the idea of the computer? All these things, a lot of these are men, and mostly white men. So understand why the devil is like creating a lot of hatred towards white men, especially the men that come from the part of the world, the western part of the world, where a lot of the concepts and ideologies of freedom, the concept and ideology that ended slavery came from America. A lot of people want to attack white people and be like, oh, white people slavery, and all of that, but it is them that stopped it. White people can be given credit for, and they should be given credit for ending slavery, or at least making it illegal, but they cannot be given credit for starting, because it has always been. And as a matter of fact, everybody who has been a slave in previous centuries, all throughout a human existence, everybody who was a slave had no problem with slavery itself as an institution. They had problems with themselves being a slave, But they never wanted to end slavery as a whole. They never saw it as a problem. They just saw it as, I need to stop being a slave. I need to get myself out of my own being a slave, and then become, free, and then prosper and get to own my own slaves. That is why when you look through history, all the people that were slaves that actually ended up, either buying their freedom or gaining their freedom, when you go back before Europe, and before America, when you look at all the instances of slavery, everybody that was once a slave, eventually, if they got out of it or if their children got out of it, they, when they became rich, they owned slaves themselves. So it was not something that they condemned. So the people that made it moral and made it unethical, to look unethical to humankind, are actually white people, but that is just something that, but back to this highlights reel. Let us just enjoy the highlights reel, but remember, do not watch it comparing and saying, well, if this is what they have to come up with. They are women, so I don't expect to see people dunking better than Vince Carter, when I'm watching this clip. It's women's sports, it's women. So let's just watch it. And that being said, when it comes to supporting women's sports in general, we need to start our own leagues. We as Christians and we are as saints, we as those in the Investors Club, we need to start our own leagues. I cannot emphasize enough. The WNBA is basically given to wokeism and foolishness, especially when they do not know common economics, and they are comparing their pay with a completely different company. They are not looking at, how do we improve viewership and engagement in the WNBA, and rather than thinking in that way, they are actually alienating potential male fans by attacking men. That is a large portion of the population and a large portion of the people who are actually interested in sports. There are more women than men in the world. Why are the women not filling the WNBA stadiums and all of that? They can protest the feminism and all that nonsense. But when it comes to, okay, if you women want the WNBA to make more money than the NBA, simple. Start going to WNBA games. Start buying WNBA merchandise. Start patronizing the WNBA. And the NBA will not be able to near the WNBA in profits, because there are more women than men, and women control the purse. Women control how men spend their money in every way and fashion. And this is something that every businessman, every marketing company knows. Whether it is the woman in the house, the woman who is married or the woman who is unmarried. Even single men, they buy based on what they think women will perceive them higher as. If a man likes a particular kind of suit, but women don't like men in that suit, men will stop buying that suit. That suit is going to go to blazes. That is just the fact. That is how powerful. You have to understand, it is the women that control the purse and make the buying decisions. When it comes to spending, that is the reality. So the WNBA not making money is because of women. But let us just watch the highlights reel.
2017, Diana Taurasi trying to break Tina Thompson's all-time scoring record. There it is, the bunny inside.
So that was a layup. This is interesting. Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Of course, that Kobe Bryant passed. So this is an old clip. This is actually from 2017.
The bunny inside.
Kobe Bryant and his daughter, they're clapping. I'm thinking this is also one of his daughters. Oh, I don't know.
And look at that, Kobe and a couple of his daughters were at the game. Taurasi, the only WNBA player to eclipse 8,000 points.
At number 8, July 17, 2018, in her first season back in the WNBA after playing overseas for 5 years, Liz Cambage scored a WNBA single game record, 53 points. She'd go on to lead the league in scoring that season.
Number 7. Go back to 2008. Candace Parker was a rookie. She became just the second WNBA player to dunk in a game. I'm going to show you the first one in just a minute, but
this I really like.
Parker would dunk again in the Sparks next game. She went on to become the only WNBA
and
player.
she has her own style, her dress, There's something that helps with brand building. When it comes to brand building as an athlete, especially when it comes to the sports of basketball, the person that really capitalized on it first was Dennis Rodman, because he stood out with the multiple coloring of his hair and all the antics that he pulled. Then of course we see Allen Iverson, because when you have your own style, then it also helps to differentiate you from everybody in the league. And I'm talking about dressing style, swagger, you know, clothing style, even though it's still jerseys and all of that, you know, the way they present themselves. Just like Iverson, during Iverson's time, you know, in the height of his career, a lot of kids were dressing like him and acting like him, you know. So this kind of uniqueness and consciousness of brand beauty, it also helps with endorsements and, you know, profitability. That individual, you know, as they actually show that they have what it takes, you know, on the court, you know, they show their skills, they would be building a brand that will transcend and actually get kids involved and create an attractive positioning for themselves to companies. So companies will want to endorse them and want them to like wear their products and all of that, and that is more money for that particular athlete.
Sparks' next game, she went on to become the only WNBA.
You know, I really like her style, the way she is wearing. Everybody's wearing a jersey, but she's wearing a shirt inside in a way that it's like only one-handed. You know, it's showing on only one side. You know, it's very unique and cool. And you know, if she makes it her own thing, you know, it's which I think it is. You know, it's amazing. Candace Parker.
To become the only WNBA player to win both the MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season.
All right, so then at number 6, David, May 27th, all the way back in 2013, her WNBA debut, Brittany Griner, she became the first WNBA player to dunk not once but twice in a game. And it only took Griner one game to tie Parker.
Okay, so she is the first WNBA player to dunk twice in a game.
Most career dunks.
We would assume she's thrown a few more down since then. Number 5, 2015 Finals, Game 3, Lynx and Fever, Maya Moore.
Remember, we are not comparing this to men's sports. We are separating. These are two different things.
Drilling it. The 3 at the buzzer to give Minnesota the win. And Minnesota went on to win the series in 5 games, their 3rd title in 5 years for the Lynx.
At number 4, July 30th, 2002, Lisa Leslie, becoming the first player in WNBA history to dunk in a game.
Leslie.
One of the many.
You know, I've been hearing a lot about Lisa Leslie, you know. Wait, she became the first player to dunk in a game. Okay. So this in 2022, she became the first player to dunk in the WNBA. You know. Let's watch that play again. Remember, we are not comparing this to men's sports.
At number 4, July 30th, 2002, Lisa Leslie, becoming the first player in WNBA history to dunk in a game. One of the many achievements for Leslie.
You know, one of the things that women's sports should do is that they should be proud of differentiating themselves, not trying to compare themselves. The WNBA is actually helping to dig a pit by itself by comparing itself a lot with the men. You cannot meet up in that way. You know, you cannot stand par to par in that, you know. And when people are programmed, like somebody might be watching this and be looking at this and be like, man, I know he's saying we should not compare it to women's sport, but this is just ridiculous. You know, you have seen better dunks in a high school game, and this is professional women's basketball. But that is something that the WNBA should try to differentiate to get people out of that thinking. But unfortunately, they are pushing people into that thinking by trying to push and compare the women's playing basketball to men playing basketball. You have to let people understand that these are two different things. Let it be in the mind of everybody watching, so they do not expect to see somebody dunking better than Vince Carter in the WNBA, or, you know, comparing something like Diana Taurasi's performance with LeBron James' performance, or comparing Candace Parker's performance with Michael Jordan's performance. You know, you can't do that. You know, so let it be clear that, you know, you really have to, if it is possible. But I won't go into the too much of what changes should be made, because I'm serious. You know, we as Christians, we need to start our own leagues all around the world, and we can beat, you know, at least when it comes to women's athletics, especially women's basketball. who is the competition? Is it the WNBA that is building a bigger pitch for themselves? We know the kind of things that should be done to help a company that is involved in setting up games and attracting people to watch the games, what they should be doing.
Who would lead the Sparks to their second straight title that season.
Number 3, 2019 playoffs, the Aces against the Sky. Derica Hamby intercepts the pass.
Wow, I like that steal, and that was amazing also. This is an amazing play.
The Aces up 1. Vegas won the single elimination game and advanced to the semifinals thanks to
This is an amazing play
Hamby's
anyway.
heroics.
Wow, what a play. Also play number 2. Are you going back to the 2016?
That was play number 3 in the whole WNBA history. Now this play number 2.
WNBA Finals Game 5. After Maya Moore put the Lynx up by 1 in the wild back and forth ending, Nneka Nwumike hitting a putback shot, and Chiney's sister. With 3 seconds left to give the Sparks the lead.
The number 3 was more spectacular than the number 2. And like this is a Nigerian name, Nneka Nwumike. This is an Igbo. She's from the Igbo tribe. Well, they put her at number 2, but number 3 was more spectacular.
Would hang on to win their first WNBA title since 2002. Aww.
Number 1, 1999 WNBA Finals.
This is number 1, Teresa Witherspoon. Okay, let's see.
New York Liberty, Houston Comets, Teresa Weatherspoon.
Wow. Okay.
From behind
This is really number 1.
The Liberty, the win, and keep the best
prayer
of 3
shots.
series alive. You got a dog pile there after that shot from Weatherspoon. New York's 18-point comeback, the largest in WNBA Finals history.
And if that's the winning shot, which I believe it was, that just blows everybody's minds. That's a great play. So that being said, remember what I talked about. As Christians, we the Investors Club, we need to take a hold of this. It is written. Just give us a mandate that we should go into all the world and preach the gospel. So we should go into every sphere of a human existence, every world, the sports world, the business world, the entertainment world, everywhere that man occupies, every field, every occupation, every vocation, every single thing, that man functions in. We should go in there with the light of the gospel, and save souls, because you understand that the majority of existence in itself is post the earth. Heaven and earth will pass away, but God will never pass away. So after the rapture, the new heaven and the new earth, the time after that is infinite. It's much longer than whatever time the earth itself existed. Not even the short spans that a lot of individual humans spend on earth, which is at top 100 years or normally less. But that being said, reach out to us on alfred.vip, join the Investors Club, and be a part of our plans and our moves, to use business, commerce, and industry to influence the world for Jesus. The world has a lot of worldly organizations and secret societies that they are dead set on destroying the world and forcing their vision on the world. We should counter that. That being said, if you've not given your life to Christ, make sure you go to alfred.vip, click the salvation prayer link in the main menu. When you are at the page, you come out that has a prayer of salvation. Say that prayer telling God you want to give your life to God, and begin your walk with God. Thank you, and God bless you. Also remember to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff.